If you were like me, last Saturday, you watched the new episode of Rick and Morty. But that might not be the new episode of Rick and Morty. That might, in fact, be a fake episode, meant to trick us in order to think that the real episodes will premiere in summer. Hello everyone, Ligator here, and today I have a theory about how this episode is actually a fake, and how in the summer the real episodes will actually kick off Season 3. Now, you may be like, what about this? Well, think about it like this. Rick and Morty came out on April 1st. When that happened, everyone just instantly thought, hey, this is a trick. This isn't real. What happened? Where is all the endorsements? Basically, everyone was really skeptical about whether or not this was even real. When they realized it was real, they thought it was a joke. But when they thought that it was in fact an actual episode, they didn't think it was a joke anymore. They thought the joke was that ha ha ha, they didn't endorse it on April 1st. But that changes. In fact, in a way I'll explain, this is actually just a joke episode. The real joke is that we thought this episode released on April 1st is a joke. However, the actual joke is that this isn't actually the first episode. The first episode will actually happen in summer. Another part of that same theory that latches off from it is that if you actually watch the episode, you know that in the very beginning, Rick's part of the simulation, right? Remember in the past seasons? The other simulation episode? The really huge joke that's like, it's a simulation inside a simulation. What does it sound like? Exactly, this could easily be a simulation in a simulation. This whole entire episode could be completely mute in this grand scheme of things, because this could easily be a simulation itself. You may be wondering, what do I have to go off in order to think this? Well, let's just say the writing in this episode seems rushed. And this will lead to the separate idea that this is kind of like another joke playing on us. However, think of it like this. There are story arcs in writing. There are story arcs in cartoons. You can see that with modern cartoons such as Adventure Time and Rick and Morty and Steven Universe. You can see the overlaying plot developing in multiple episodes, but each individual story in each episode. That's basically what Rick and Morty has been from Season 1 and Season 2. And now that Season 3 is here, that's basically thrown out the window. Think of it like this. From Season 1, when we're introduced to Rick, one of our first questions is, what happened to his wife? Why does Beth hate Rick so much? From episode 1 to Season 1, all the way to now, we're questioning what happened to Rick's wife. We're given hints throughout the episodes of, like, Rick being cynical about it and being sour. However, we're never really given the answer. It's slowly told to us, but it's never really just right there. But what happens in this episode, we're given about less than 5 minutes and just instantly shown her character. Basically, they took something that took 2 seasons to explain, to very slowly explain, and just condensed it in less than 5 minutes. Fuck you, the arcs! Another thing. I've seen in other media and other websites that talk about episode 3, in videos that talk about theories about this episode, that Morty is shown very slowly turning evil. One of the comments I saw was like, man, can't you guys see that Morty's slowly turning the evil Morty with an eye patch? Yes, he is. He's slowly turning there. However, at the end of the episode, with a Mulan joke that I fucking love, Rick basically says, screw arcs. That's not actually a thing. That's just a joke. He makes a joke that by Season 9, we'll have the Mulan arc where he gets the sauce. But, yeah, that's treated as a joke. The Rick's wife thing's treated as a joke because it's just fucking stopped. You have Season 1, stop. Now, you have the Morty one going from Season 1 all the way to now, and it's still going, though. It's still happening. Yet, Rick and Morty's turning evil. But if they say F you to arcs, then that's very confusing. This is conflicting. There's writing saying that Rick's wife is just completely gone. Forget that story. However, still remember the fact that Morty is turning evil, even though the whole entire idea that this is going to be a continuation series is no longer a thing. And that goes hand in hand with continuity. Continuity is thrown out the window in multiple episodes. So, you know how Beth and Jerry basically realize they love each other in the episode where they have the glasses on? They don't divorce because they realize in every single parallel universe that if they divorce, they're always just going to come back together. What the fuck do you do with this episode? Season 3, Episode 1? They're divorcing. They seem to forget that that even happened. What the hell? Like, okay, give or take, they're not. We don't know if they're actually divorced yet. Morty questions whether they're getting divorced, and Jerry moves away for now. And Beth basically says they're going to get a divorce. However, that's never official. And I think they said that in past episodes. However, it's not really official. So, what happened in continuity? Why don't they remember that? Why don't they remember everything aside from that? It's very confusing. And third, this just seems to be way too easy. Remember on past adventures, Rick and Morty seemed to get in trouble and it didn't exactly end in a happy ending? There's always kind of like the cynical type sad ending that was a question ourselves. What about the many episodes where Rick's really sad, Morty's extremely sad? Both of them show emotions. Both of them don't end in the happy ending that you see in every episode. What about the one Mr. Poopy Butthole gets shot? Almost every episode has that sad ending that doesn't end in happiness. There's always that sad moment that comes, you're like, oh my god, what happens if this actually happened to the characters? You're sad about this. This ends in a happy ending, and everything seems to go right way too well. There's no conflict. The only conflict you ever see is Morty shooting Rick, not really realizing it. That's the only thing. Aside from that, everything else is happy. Rick destroys the council. He destroys the Federation, he takes over the family, and now he's free of everything. That just seems way too easy. Like, that's not how Rick usually goes about things, and not usually what happens to Rick and Morty. This isn't the happy type of story. This is a realistic type, gritty type story about, like, how mean people can actually be and how evil the real world is, even if it's set in fiction. And also, just the last thing, this is kind of like my weakest point. Where's the pickle scene? Remember how that thing came out a while ago? Not the thing. How that teaser came out a while ago that showed kind of the part of the season? It was about the pickle. Rick put his brain in a pickle and basically went around and attacked rats. Wasn't that, or we assumed that was part of the jail scene, him escaping jail, and yet where is that in this episode? Now, I say this is my weakest point because easily in the development of writing something, you throw out a bunch of other stuff. You don't need that anymore. They might have thrown this out when they actually got the idea for this episode. So they might have just forgotten about this jail scene or, like, gotten rid of it. But, like, it still happened. We still saw this, and we have no mention of what the hell that was even about anymore. It's just floating there. So this leads to the two things. It's a joke episode. Basically, that had to go off of all, like, the rushed arcs and stuff. And how it's, like, April Fool's, basically. And how... Notice that every single episode is coming out, or every single episode is being replayed day after day after day after day. Also, remember the huge jokes that Adult Swim loves to play. They made huge jokes. Check out a guy named Rebel Taxi if you want more on that. They made absolutely massive April Fool's jokes over the past years. And they don't care how far they go for those. So, how far do you think they'll go in supplying the creators of Rick and Morty with money in order to fund a completely joke episode? That's clearly possible. And that's clearly a thing they could do, because the creators are that funny enough to play that kind of joke on people. But there's the theory in the story that this is just a simulation, that all of this could just be could be in Rick's mind while he's still in the chair. They're trying to dissect his brain the whole entire time. And Morty and Summer are still trying to figure out a way to get him out. And I think what we have to realize is this. One of the realest jokes this may be is that we asked for this. The reason they're playing this joke on us is because we're rushing for the episode. Remember how the end of season 2 they say it's going to be a year and a half? Now it's past a year and a half. We're wondering where it is. I've seen so many people asking where season 3 is. Like, a lot of people. Thing is, this kind of scenario where the arcs are rushed and there's no more really storytelling is what we get for having a rushed episode. They can't necessarily drag out story plots. They have to just focus on humor. Humor. You don't necessarily have those drag out story plots throughout the whole entire season. That's why, hence, why the Beth and Jerry thing's forgotten about. Hence why it's kind of a mess, how the continuity's bit thrown out the window. Hence why Rick's wife isn't a necessarily thing anymore. Hence why Morty's still being evil, even though that's kind of thrown out the window with a joke. They don't necessarily care about it. This is what happens when you make a certain creator of a series have quantity over quality. You rush out an episode before you can actually make it good. That's not what these creators are about. They're actually about making the episode good, making it clear, making it overlaying, making it have a deeper meaning to itself. With this, there isn't any deeper meaning. It just gives us an excuse for further episodes, just to have episodes. It's not giving us the content that we actually need. And so with that, I want to thank you. And realize that this could possibly be a joke episode in about a week, or in the summer. They can reveal this all, and we'll all be laughing, and I'll sit here being like, yep, I was right. Alrighty, thank you.